My name's Lorieann and my bus is Big Blue. I've lived on the bus for 2.5 years now in the Qualicum-Parksville area, happily. I got inspired to live an alternative life on a bus just mostly because of my past where I got drawn to. Living in a big house in Alberta, living that style just really crushed my soul. And I knew that I was an island girl, so when I came home, I couldn't stay away from the forest, and I felt that living in either a tiny cabin or something would get me the closest to it. And one day, driving along the highway, this bus was for sale. And I immediately stopped and pulled over and looked inside, and it was already camperized. And I called the phone number like 5 times, they weren't answering. I left like 3 messages until they finally got back to me. And luckily they actually dropped the price for me by the end of it, but it was almost like it was meant to be. And from there everything just kept falling into place. I went through 3 moves, coming from Alberta, moving to one spot and then moving to another house, and each time I always cleansed. I got rid of so much stuff, furniture, baking pans, things like that. It's like, why do I need 12 sets of dishes anymore? And it almost became sort of addicting to just get rid of that stuff. Have you ever seen the movie The Labyrinth? There's a scene where she's in this landfill and this little Muppet comes up and she's like, oh, this is yours and this is yours, you need this, and she's piling all this stuff on her back saying you need this. And I thought about that concept. If you took everything that you own and put it on your back, what is worth carrying? And chances are a lot of it's not. So that got that ball rolling towards living tiny. So over here we have the music corner, which was a guitar, bass guitar, there's a little amp, my cello, which I don't play, unfortunately, my ukulele and the little amp. I also have all my shoes tucked away underneath there. Organization is really important when you live tiny because clutter becomes messy and you trip over everything and it's just not pretty. I had installed this wood stove when I bought the bus because it used to be a bench. It was a really cool bench. It folded up into bunk beds. Neat idea for kids, but I don't have kids. So I installed the heat flashing and then was given this wood stove by a friend of mine last winter when it was really cold and mine wasn't cutting it. I have my wood box under here that I fill up, and underneath this is also storage, things that I don't use like Christmas decorations. I have a little tiny artificial tree in there. I built these benches because, again, there was a lot of wasted negative space and I needed to maximize storage. So this has most of my books, my records, my record player. Underneath is DVDs, things like that. You don't need to have out in the open all the time. And on the other side is all art books. I built the shelving because this was just all open. Again, it just provides more storage. The little fridge down here is propane, but I don't run it right now since it's wintertime. It keeps cold just from the air circulating around it. It's fine. I installed the 3-burner cooktop from when I bought it, which was only like $200. It was a really cheap one. I got in an RV store. It's very nice, stainless steel. And in here was a shower unit, which was really neat, but I don't use it. I don't have running water or hookup like that, so I turned it into shelves where I have extra food and laundry and my dried herbs. It's a good dark spot for them, and cat food and garbage. This was given to me by a dear friend. She's passed away now, but it was her antique window pane. So I had to add that to this door for the closet, which has a nice mirror and provides more space for linens. Surprising how much stuff you can fit in such small places. And then opening the animal barrier door, complete with Vancouver Island decor, is the bedroom. So I have clothes storage up here. I installed these hanging baskets. They're just a simple like curtain rod that I drilled into the side. You can't see it, it's hidden. And it just hangs. My TV's set up over there. Try to keep everything neat and tidy so all my cords are tucked away. And I installed the little shelf. to match the rest of the bus, of course. It's blue. And that's about it. That's the bus. Oh, I guess one of the best things about it is that this door opens up. So I can either stargaze or wake up to the nice morning sunrise glowing in the trees and just get some fresh air. I find the transition really easy for me because I'm someone about efficiency. And so, for example, I can just wake up in the morning and go 2 feet from my bed to start my water to boil for my coffee. Whereas before, you'd have to get up and walk down a flight of stairs and go into the kitchen and do that and then go back upstairs. And then you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about my coffee. So that's kind of like little treats that I love about living tiny, is just the efficiency of the space. It's not wasteful. It's just, that's all you need. I don't need to have a huge living room. I like to be close when I have people over here. It's much more intimate. It's more close contact. You're not sitting across this huge room trying to have a conversation. It just brings life down to a finer point, I think. I did an interview for a girl in Norway who I met when I was traveling over there. She works for a punk magazine. So she actually did an article on me, for Tiny Living. So that's the punk magazine. There we are. It's all in Norwegian. One thing that got me really excited about the article that Kristen did for me was that it gave me the opportunity to get my story out there. And when I first started researching about tiny homes, when I bought my bus, I saw how a lot of people did it, and usually they spent a lot of money in these little homes, which was great. It works for them. They'd have top-of-the-line stuff, really comfy. That's where their comfort levels are. But for me, I wanted to show that you can do it with very minimal money or resources. A lot of the stuff that I used in my bus was reclaimed or reused, repurposed, or given to me, just mostly by word of mouth, talking to people, inquiring on Facebook. You know, little communities like that are great little holds for that information. And so when I got the article, it gave me that first chance to share and to maybe open some eyes to people who are kind of on the fence about living tiny, if they can do it or not, to show that you can. I've probably spent at most $6,000 to $7,000. I'll push it to that, but that's all. It hasn't been a lot to live this way. Some advice that I'd have for someone who would transition into tiny living is just go at your own pace. Like, people think that, well, some people think when I traveled, that living in a bus means that you're vegan and you ride your bicycle everywhere and, you know, it's total off-grid all out, right? You don't have to. If you still want to have Wi-Fi, there's ways to do that. If you still want to have internet, cable or electricity, you still can. You can make it work. And slowly over time, if you feel like you can do away with it, you can cut it out. It doesn't have to be just this one big shift. You can slowly build yourself up to it. You know, there's certain comforts that we all have, right? So if you're thinking about living in a tiny space, cater to that. If you do like to draw, find something that will work where you can have a proper desk to work at, where you're comfortable, where it's still going to be enjoyable to do that. And then maybe you can get creative with it and have it drop down into a bench for reading or something. There's so many ideas online that somebody's done it. That's the biggest thing about having the internet. Somebody else has done it already. You just have to search it. And chances are they already did the trial and errors. They figured out all the kinks. So go from there and make it work for you. But ultimately, you don't have to just go cold turkey. Just ease into it. I would recommend this lifestyle to a lot of people. I understand everybody can't live tiny. It's not feasible for a lot if you live in the city or just we don't have necessarily the space. I don't have my own property yet. That's a big thing that I worry about every day is what if something happens to Todd and I can't stay here anymore? Where am I going to go? That's always going to be on my mind until I save up my money to buy my own property, which is my goal. Living tiny has definitely enabled me to save more money because my rent is significantly low. And in a time right now, especially on Vancouver Island and Vancouver, where renting is a crisis. You can't rent. And unfortunately, I don't see it going up. I don't see anything changing anytime soon. So if you can make the transition, I highly recommend it for your own future's sake. You know, it opens up doors, I feel. Like I kind of talked to you earlier. You don't have to spend so much time cleaning your house, so now you can read that book for the extra hour you wanted to. It just opens up more possibilities for you if you have the right mentality behind it, because it is hard work. Certain things become challenging, like having an outhouse in the wintertime. It's cold out there. Who wants to get up at 2 in the morning to go pee in a cold outhouse? So there's certain things that you sacrifice, comforts that you sacrifice, but they're really not that big of a deal when you have the right mentality behind it. So if you think you can do it, I'd say do it. Definitely.
Thanks guys for watching. You can find Lorieann at
Big Blue Best Life on Instagram.
See you guys next week.
Hey everyone, Forrest here. I just wanted to let everyone know before they leave that I am still making the Reality of Vanlife movie, and it is set to be released in spring 2018. If that's something that you're interested in, hit subscribe, because in January I plan on doing a whole bunch of update videos, kind of the behind the scenes, the making of this Vanlife movie. I know a lot of you guys will be interested in that, so stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching. New videos every Monday until then, and then it'll be a lot more frequent.